I'm Frank Hartman with the Hartman Law Firm. I'm a practicing attorney in Charleston, South Carolina, specializing in personal injury and auto accidents. Today we're going to be discussing the switch from hell that you would know more commonly as the GM recall that's been going on over the past 2 or 3 years. The first thing that you need to be aware of is that this problem actually started back in 2004 with an original Chevy Cobalt. The original scenario was when they were on the test track, the test driver's knee actually hit the key fob and caused the key to fall out of the ignition, and then the car's engine shut off, you lose your power steering, and the car drives off the side of the road. This translated into a commercial problem once these vehicles started getting out onto the road and they started selling them, because naturally people are driving along and they would occasionally brush their knee against the key or some other such thing, and the key would jar loose. The engine would shut off immediately, and then they would lose power steering, and that causes the car, which could be traveling obviously on an interstate 70 miles an hour, to veer off to the side of the road, and a lot of injuries and deaths have occurred as a result. General Motors themselves have attributed over 13 deaths and 50 wrecks to this particular instance of negligence on their part in the past 9 years, almost a decade. Although this has been going on since 2004, it wasn't actually addressed by GM as a problem that needed a recall until 2 years ago. For all intents and purposes, they essentially they were asleep at the wheel for the better part of a decade and simply denied the fact that there was a problem. When it was originally reported, GM wanted it to be considered a customer satisfaction issue as opposed to a safety regulation issue, because the federal government has lower standards of regulation when it comes to a customer satisfaction issue as opposed to a safety issue. And in that respect, they were actually able to cover up the problem and simply pretend like it wasn't a problem for the better part of a decade. That begs the question, how did we actually come to know that there was actually a problem with these ignition switches? It was actually a plaintiff's attorney. They sent an engineer to a junkyard, and they were able to match up the product numbers of those vehicles with the potential problems that were going on. And in doing so, they were able to realize that it was an overarching issue that spanned the better part of a decade, and it was something that GM in large part had been openly attempting to prevent the public from actually finding out about. That is part of the reason why GM is currently the subject of an ongoing mass tort lawsuit, not only because of the creating a product that was inherently defective, but more to the point, there is an element of openly and willfully attempting to prevent the public's knowledge of it so that they could prevent being liable for it in a court of law and potentially being open to ongoing lawsuits. How does this affect you as the public? Well, you need to hold these large corporations accountable, and you need to do so through the venue of the courts and through your local plaintiff's attorneys in the event that something like this occurs to you or to your family or to someone that you know. I'm Frank Hartman with the Hartman Law Firm, and today we answered the question, what is the switch from hell, and how does it relate to the GM recall? If you're interested in discussing this with me, feel free to call me at 843-300-7600 or look me up at thehartmanlawfirm.com. And again, thank you for watching.